Okay, it is 9 o'clock. Today is Thursday, June 12, 2017, and I call the Potter County Commission to order. Today we have Leon Church who will do our invocation. We couldn't find any preachers that are available. Apparently they are on vacation, all of them. So, would you please stand for the invocation? Will you stand for the pledge?
I'm not a preacher, but my last name is good for this. If you would, please pray with me. Almighty God, we thank you for the many gifts that you have given us, starting with our life, our families, our friends, and all the people that we have around us. We thank you for the opportunity to be free in this country. We thank you for the men and women who have sacrificed and work for us each day to keep us safe. Our local sheriff's office, our fire department, the many men and women around the world and here at home that serve in our military. We thank you for all the employees of Potter County. We ask that you keep a watchful eye and hand over these people. We ask too that you give us the wisdom today to make the decisions that are best for all the citizens of Potter County. And we ask that you forgive us our sins. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, number one on the agenda is the recognition of minutes from May 22nd, 2017 Potter County Commission Court meeting. Are there any changes or additions to that? Not so recognized. Number two, the vouchers. To consider and act upon the approval of the payment of vouchers processed by the County Auditor's Office for the period of May 17, 2017 through June 7, 2017. Check numbers 175032 through 175296 and wire transfers 907 through 915 in the amount of $2,543,828.55.
I move that the approval of the vouchers as approved by the county judge for the checks 175032 to 175296 and wire number 907 to 915 and the amount of $2,543,828.55.
Second.
Carrie, page 14 of 41, check number 175188, the amount of $10,000. It looks like Harris Local Government Solution. What is that?
That's the quarterly payment of the maintenance of our tax software.
Okay. Then on page 17 of 41, check number 175221, Profile Technologies for the archival imaging. I just don't know what account. I show 110, just the general fund, 143,000.
Right, that's a special fee that the county collects for archiving, and it's offset by that designated fund balance.
It's offset that.
Yes, yes.
And then page 18 of 41, Mike, I think this is just a travel advance, and you might be headed to El Paso. I was just interested what that was for.
I do my environmental, go back down for training each year.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Number three, insurance report. Okay, you want to stand there and do it? There's nothing unusual on this. Okay. Okay. There's something a little unusual about your leg, but that's okay. Just a bit. Okay. Any questions on that? No. Number 4, emergency response interlocal agreement. To consider and act upon a proposed interlocal agreement for emergency response cooperation between Potter County and the U.S. Department of Energy. We have Chip Orton here today. Chip, why don't you come on up and kind of explain, this is just a re-upping of the continued fire protection we have at Pantex, correct?
Yes, good morning. Essentially, this just covers emergency response, mutual aid, and fire response between the county and Pantex. It kind of dictates the rules on how those engagements happen, whether it's on Pantex or if Pantex is sending equipment to the county. Of note, the last portion is sort of new. This allows the Pantex folks to sound R7 sirens in the emergency planning zone if they have an incident. This is something they haven't been able to do before. And essentially, this just allows them to do it earlier than they can contact us and we can sound it. It may save us 20 to 25 minutes. And that's just due to the government regulations and where we are in the making orders. So that's pretty much it. This is just a renewal, and that's a new part of it.
How long has this agreement been in place? I noticed it looks like a 5-year term.
Yeah, it's been at least 10 plus. I can't remember exactly. 20. Yeah.
Oh, you know that. Okay. Just as a matter of business, Judge, one thing I saw on this interlocal that I found pretty refreshing was the standard operating procedure. And we don't always do that, like as a governing body. I think that might be a helpful model as we have other interlocals. That added a lot of content that I think sometimes we try to put into a contract when it's just the standard operating procedure. So I thought that was refreshing. Good job on that, whoever did that.
And one thing to note as well, this is one of 3. Randall County will do theirs tomorrow, and then Amarillo will do theirs in a couple of weeks because it takes us a month.
Well, I make a motion that we approve the interlocal agreement for emergency response between Potter County and the United States Department of Energy for a 5-year term.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. 4-0. Thank you, Julie. I'll get this signed and you can pick up a copy in Julie's office anytime you want. Okay, thank you. Steve, let's go on, let's go ahead and go down so you don't have to endure the agony of staying here on this. Number 10, insurance premiums. To hear a report on insurance premiums for the period of July 1, 2017 through June 30, 2018. Of insurance agent Steve Lapp to recognize and report and approve payment of 1 invoices.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I presented in detail the proposal last week. On the surface, the insurance renewal, which is effective 7/1, looks very good. It's Texas Association of Counties. The casualty premium actually went down about a little less than $1,000 from $174,352 to I'm sorry, it went up a few $100. No, down. $174,352 to $173,692. And the property premium went from $93,847 to $93,942. The issue there is we eliminated $22 million in property in the Tri-State Fair and the reappraisal of all the property that Potter County owns. The elimination of all the Tri-State property reduced our property values by $22 million. So our rate for property insurance went from 5.7 cent rate to 6.7 cent rate. That's per $100 of value, which would have been an additional cost if we still had the Tri-State Fair properties of $14,888. So a 6.7 cent rate with a $25,000 across the board deductible, including wind and hail, is, I will say that no other municipality, Potter or Randall County, including school districts, have anything close to that rate for that deductible. So it's fabulous rate still, even though they were, that's a 13% increase in the rate. But we've had over $4 million of paid property losses in the last 4 years. So it's and I don't know what the hail did this.
The same thing when it was held.
It was okay.
You think we're good? Okay. I I do have two recommendations that I would like, the court to consider. And that is for an additional, $6,000, $6,600, we can add physical damage to all of our vehicles. Right now, we carry physical damage with $1,000 deductible on 97 of the 209 vehicles. For $6,600, we can do physical damage on another 112. They are older vehicles, and we made a value decision in the past to not do physical damage on those vehicles. It bit us a little bit last year with the loss of fire truck that we didn't have physical damage on. That was a $14,000 loss. So, I think $6,600 is a good value proposition. Put it on all the rest of them.
So deductible on those vehicles.
$1,000.
And Harry, to make that change, would there be, are there appropriate funds in the, I'm assuming the insurance account?
Yes.
The other recommendation that I would make is to increase our limit from $1.5 million on business income and extra expense to $10 million business income and extra expense, and that would cover the loss of income or really the additional expense we would have if we had a loss or we had to replace our prison inmate, all of the inmates at some other facility, that by tax estimate would cost $25,000 per day for 503 inmates. It would cost $27,655 per day for those inmates to be displaced at another facility that Potter County would have to pay. And so a year at that would be $10 million that it could cost the county. We have $1.5 million in coverage now. If the increase is to $10 million, it would cost $2,972.
So Steve, can you help me understand why we would need, that type of coverage?
If we had, say we had a fire at the jail, or we had some other weather-related incident that caused the jail to be that we could not house inmates there. And we had to move them to another facility, and Potter County would have to pay that other facility.
Okay. So we currently, we're at 1.5 million, and I'm assuming we've been at that probably for quite some time.
Yeah.
Is there something that has caused, 1.5 to 10 in coverage is a fairly significant shift? Is there something that is causing us to react to that, or it just caught our attention?
It caught tax attention because they had a loss like that, so they started analyzing all the other counties
Okay.
to see if there was adequate coverage, and we don't have adequate coverage. I mean, we have coverage for, 45 days.
And then what would be an increase in premium for something like that?
$2,972.
Or we could just put them in a bus and take them to Randall County. Just dump them. Yeah, or Armstrong or Carson, wherever. Would you judge the sheriff? Yeah, he's saying it.
But Judge, I do
No,
think you bring up a valid
I'm
point.
kidding.
No, I really do. I know you're kidding, but I do think that you bring up a valid point. If this is grabbing attention, attack, maybe it warrants us to look at a potential interlocal of some type. And I would imagine that they would want the same interlocal with us, right? So we could offset each other if something indeed did happen. So it is a different way to think about the same issue. And I think what TAC is really looking for is what's your contingency plan? And if you don't have one, the insurance is gonna cover that. I think that's a really good discussion, Judge.
Well, I guess that's something to think about.
I don't think there's another county jail nearby that can handle 509
There's not.
prisons.
That's why I was trying
You
to
probably
make
have
time to
to-
take all the others.
Yeah, you could have 2 to 3, just thinking out of the box. That may be an interesting way to accomplish.
I think it tends
Well,
to.
their occupancy level is really low. Armstrong's like over 3 people.
Lubbock, I think about Lubbock.
Eight cells.
Lubbock,
What is it?
We only have 8 cells.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lubbock, Randall County, I mean, these are, Wichita, they're not that, Midland, I mean, those are some fairly big counties. If something did happen.
Lubbock maybe, but Randall County wouldn't be able to hold what we have. And we would not be able to hold theirs today. I have 525 today, there's no way I could put any of their people on guard.
Yeah. So before we have the dialogue, if anyone understands.
And I would know
as we-
realistically, they're still gonna require payment.
Sure, right, yeah, and if you, absolutely.
And
But it may minimize, the payment, you're probably aggregating $503 times how much we ship out, how much we pay when someone stays at Childress, if you will. You're probably just multiplying those numbers out to get that dollar amount.
Yeah, that $10 million, limit is assuming that we have we have 503
Right.
inmates moved in, and we had to pay for them to occupy some of the prisons for a full year. That's what the $10 million is for.
And what is the rate on that, Steve, what was the,
$2,972.
and Carrie?
So we had just over 400,000.
What kind of good news you have for us? Yeah,
That's all, you had good news for me, but we didn't get any mail, so that's good.
But I think both of those are items that we ought to consider and do. So I'll move that we approve extending insurance on our vehicles, all of our vehicles, physical damage.
Physical damage.
And that we would up our jail liability to 10 million.
Do I have a second? A motion and a second, all in favor, raise your right hand. 4-0.
Maybe one day, Judge, will really think out of the box.
Yeah, we keep trying to think out of the box.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. All right, number 5, regulation of outdoor burning to consider and act on prohibiting or restricting outdoor burning in an unincorporated area outside of 20% of Washington Code section 352.081 for a period not to exceed 90 days. Richard? Come and talk to me, tell me why, tell me why we're doing this. We've had rain, we've had gully washers.
Yeah, we have hit the cycle where it's going from one extreme to the other on a regular basis. What we're running into is right now we've had a little bit of rainfall, so our drought index is very low, which the drought index goes from 100 being very moist to 800 being totally dry. So what the trend I've seen though is in the last 2 days, our drought index has come up 13 points. It's come up from 170, where we're sitting at 196 this morning. And the drought monitor is done over an area wide, basically by satellite imagery, and then they assess moisture points, based on what's going on. The rainfall that we had last week, we had 2 rainfalls here recently. One got to see 2 inches of rain. We barely had any rain in the county. Last week, we had a fairly big thunderstorm move across the east side of the county. The west side of the county stayed dry. So before that, we had rain that affected the Bushland area and none of the rest of the county. So we're seeing it kind of a patchwork of very dry areas to wet areas. And the other thing on top of that we're seeing is the trend has been lately that people are burning a lot more large bulk materials. We've had several unauthorized burns here lately, and we're seeing that those fires are starting to escape the pits in the areas that people are burning in. So we're starting to see a problem developing, and that's why we're here today, is to try to stop that with the dry season coming up. And we have not had the summer winds that we're experiencing forecasted for this week that we started seeing last week. And immediately upon seeing the weather change there, we had 3 grass fires in one afternoon started along the highway. They're very small, they're not getting real big, but at at the same time, it's showing the drying trend, and that's why we're looking at trying to put one on. Currently, burn bans are, counties starting to put them on, or around us, Oldham, Armstrong, Donley, Tree, Palmer, Castro, and Childress in the Texas Panhandle are already enacting burn bans again. So we're starting to look at it and see, today, our forecast for the Texas Panhandle for our area is high fire danger. The northwest part of the Panhandle is seeing extreme fire danger. And I think it's gonna do nothing but increase throughout the next couple of weeks if we don't continually add moisture. And I would ask that we go ahead and put on a burn ban at this time. And if we see adequate moisture countywide, then, I'll get with the judge and we'll have it lifted. I move that we,
institute a outdoor burn ban in the unincorporated areas of Potter County for a period not to exceed 90 days.
Okay.
Motion and second, all in favor, raise your hand. 4-0. Scott, can you give me that, burn ban, or do I have it already?
Judge, I sent it to you, but
Yeah.
I would note that, the proper order will be the one that finds that, conditions exist in the unincorporated areas such that it would exacerbate public health and safety concerns, rather than the express reference to the drought events.
you know, and I think, we would be, safe to go ahead and add the outdoor cooking, warming fires, and, household trash disposal in a container with a screen over it.
I think that's a standard order.
Yeah, I think if we include that verbiage, it'll still allow people to dispose of trash properly, and it'll still allow us to cook out and, go to the river and everything else, so we'll just, be able to monitor that a little better.
Okay.
Our standard order accounts.
Okay. You got that, Shannon? Get all that? Oh, we don't.
I don't think so.
We didn't vote.
No, that's what we're discussing.
Well, let's
Just
do
do
it
the
again.
information.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. I think you can go back to the pretty sure it is. I'm just saying. Okay, number 6, salvage property, to act upon a proposal for disposition of salvage irrigation pipe. Who wants to talk about that?
We just have some, irrigation pipe that we've had for years, just laying around, without any use for it anymore, it's back on the end garden, so we're gonna get rid of that, PVC, design thing.
I make a motion that we approve the disposition of salvage irrigation pipe to TECJ.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. Just see that, Julie. Okay, number 7, proposed interlocal agreement to consider next month's proposal for an interlocal cost sharing agreement with CSCD for multi-department internet firewall protection. Jason. Morning, how are you?
Oh, pretty good, I guess. Yeah, we're basically just wanting to we're getting a new firewall for our judges and, juveniles and adult probation. Basically, this will provide a secure connection, faster connection, allow us to, better serve the courts.
What is the cost to the county for this? And what are you asking us to pay?
$3,160.
It's a 5-year agreement, next business day warranty, it's a smart net from Cisco, basically covers anything that goes wrong with it. During 8 to 5 hours, next business day, they'll have spray new.
So, let me just get this straight. None of us in this room can use the program that you're on. Only the county court of judges and the judges. Right?
Juvenile probation.
So, you want us to help pay for that just because of those 8 employees or whatever? Well, as you know.
That, and also, I mean, when the county is, when the traveling judges go to Randall County, it also provides connection back into us through email, calendars, access to the court docket, things like that.
So the traveling judge is only the.
No, not just, I mean, it's all district judges,
I mean, it's-
which is all their staff in their offices and stuff. So you got like 25 county judges or staff getting in with internet and, or not the internet, with email.
And the price again is $3,000.
$3,106.
Is that a one-time fee or is that,
It's for a 5-year agreement.
But it will get absorbed, Commissioner. I mean, that's what will always happen. Once we put it in the budget, it gets absorbed every year. We very rarely would go back. At least that's not what I've seen in the last 6 years.
pros and cons?
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind. That's good that you, obviously it's a better deal, it's a better program than you have. It'd be like me buying a car and asking you to make payments. That's the way I feel. So,
So
Don't-
the
don't
budget,
accept
this is, their budget for them to pay me,
No, that's part of why we talked about spring, because they don't have in their state budget, there are funds, it's in the maintenance agreement account, general fund, and our general fund. And that's part of the reason we're here today.
And Carrie, is that the proposal that it would come from the maintenance agreement account?
Yes.
Because isn't that the same account that they will often purchase equipment from? That, I remember sometimes there'll be a chair in there or a desk, but I may be thinking of the wrong account.
No, that's more of a replacement account, we have one strictly for county life maintenance, and that's what this, we charge this to.
So the state is principally one of the heavy lifting, which is,
What do you do today? Are they connected today, or they're not? Juvenile, all of the employees that you're talking about?
They all basically are routed across the network to our department and go out our internet or email calendars, when they're here in Potter County.
So is this program bringing them through the network now?
They currently are routed via the county's network to our department. in the center.
Okay, and so this will do the same routing?
The routing's still all gonna be the same, it's basically improving the connection out. Because we're running on like a 100 megabit connection with, like a 5-6-year-old box that's fixed to go into life with Cisco. And so we can't provide the security and the reliability.
Right, and I do have questions. I mean, we've made significant strides on our infrastructure for technology. I'm surprised that we don't have existing, routing mechanisms that we can just reroute to improve that versus buying an actual new device, if that makes sense. I don't know if we can be creative with how that we do that to increase the speed, is what I'm
Well, I
hearing you
mean,
saying.
We're basically the bridge for all this, because we sit in the middle. So without it, the judges, if they were, say, they're on this network and y'all increase the bandwidth, then when they go to Randall County, they're gonna be a totally separate account. They're not gonna have any pass-through back to probation or getting to their email, things like
But
that.
that's really not our purview of what happens in Randall County.
Well, it matters for the judges to travel. I mean, if they can't get to their stuff.
And how are they doing it today?
Right now, they're doing on an old legacy T1 line. We're paying about $300 a month just for that.
So Brandon, when this was an agenda item last time, I requested that CSCD and our IT department had a meeting, right? I mean, to talk about technology infrastructure.
Okay.
Did that happen?
it did.
Okay, is it an outcome you'd like to share?
Nope. They won't let us in. CSCD has their own this is not personal. CSCD has their own program. They allow 5 district judges and county court law judges on it, and nobody else.
Is there a reason?
Jason Patrick and I met with y'all, with you guys. Jason asked, can we get into Teresa?
And I'm asking as a result of this particular topic. It's been a little while since Jason is no longer with the county. So when this was an agenda item a couple weeks ago, I said this might be a springboard to everybody just talking again, to talk about the whole infrastructure. Cause it's a little bit bigger picture than just this one little device. And I think this, personally, I think this is the tip of the iceberg. With the way this county continues to grow, you're gonna keep finding these little nuggets. I'm looking at Brandon, cause you're the expert, not me. So I'm hearing that did not happen.
I don't know about that one.
Did that happen, Brandon?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I didn't know it was. I didn't know.
I guess, my question would be, and that's not just to you, but to everyone that's involved, we spent a lot of money in the last 3 years on the court management systems. And I don't know how this fits into that, but our whole plan at that time was to make sure everybody could communicate together. And it sounds like this is not happening.
And that was my request, Commissioner Church, a couple weeks ago, was to start having that dialogue, because you're exactly right, when we were spending several millions, that was the dialogue.
So how is the dialogue going? Is there a committee already
There's none.
established
It didn't
to
happen.
decipher and to discuss that?
It's not, let me put it this way, I've been here for a long, long time, it's always been this way.
But that doesn't make it right.
Scott, it's always been this way. And there's Jason, Patrick.
There's some history
met
there.
with them. No, yeah, there's history and there's, Terry's not gonna budge on it and
But I mean,
that's all there is to it.
is there not some personal history here?
I don't know.
We have more technology than we have ever had in this county, and so if there's any point in time that it's appropriate to broach the conversation, it's probably now. It's hard to have the conversation when you don't have the technology to support it and say, let's be smart about our taxpayers. But we now have the technology, and if there's history because one person doesn't wanna do it, and the taxpayers are paying the expense, that's for this court to
It's not
decide.
just one, it's not just Terry, it was the guy before him, and the guy before him, it's always been that way, and you want,
It's an accumulative
Change.
history
Yeah.
that with that, but not, is there a drop dead date are we looking at here as far as when we have to, make an agreement that would, compromise what you're attempting to do?
Not really, but I mean, we're moving forward with the firewall.
Who is the we in the $300, fee per month on the T1 line?
CSCD,
Excuse me?
CSCD, adult probation, we pay that. And that also provides connectivity for AG's office, city back through Randall County Sheriff's, basically everybody uses that too.
Do you foresee, or does anyone on this court foresee a better way we can do this if, we have a discussion? Do we see that?
I don't know. Like I say, I had the discussion.
I don't either. Brandon, is there something that we're missing here, or something you could, help us out with? Little blanks?
I don't know that there's anything we're missing. I mean, I agree, it's just how it has always been, whether that's right or wrong, I'm not sure.
You know, I'm not bad mouthing Terry, he had reasons for it, and just like the guy before him, they have reasons. And I'm not gonna dispute those reasons. I mean,
But what are those reasons?
well, they're just, they handle cases that Terry doesn't want anybody else to get into.
But you can do that with
I know.
technology. There are
I know.
secure tunnels and VPN connectivity. So I'll go back to,
Jason,
we're gonna have to think a
was
little
there
different.
anything else you can remember from that meeting that we had, me, you and Jason Patrick and Terry, with something substantial other than the fact that the kind of cases that y'all do?
That was a big thing. I mean, someone's support too.
Yeah.
I mean, basically it puts us in the middle.
There can be a dedicated tunnel, a dedicated port, and I'm looking at Brandon, dedicated to that office so that their information is protected. People do this in healthcare all the time.
And Jason knows that too, Jason, he's the IT expert. in
Right.
Yeah, so they know that.
Judge, do you see, can you see an opportunity that the court would hold this, would pass this, and then have a discussion?
Yeah.
We're just gonna have to confirm who's having the discussion, because apparently,
It didn't happen last time, I didn't know anything about that.
Get the subject matter experts in the room and they have to see.
You come here and discuss it with me, but
But not, somebody's gotta go.
but Judge, you oversee the IT department, so maybe if both departments could at least have the
We can
conversation.
do it again. I'll try it again.
If you like.
I don't mind, yeah. Mhm. Okay, we're gonna pass this for 2 weeks. In the meantime, I'll get with you and Terry. Okay. Thanks, Jason. All right, number 8, donation acceptance, approval of the donation of exercise equipment to the sheriff's office.
Morning,
Morning.
I'm representing Gold Search Incorporated, and they offered to, give us some, exercise equipment, some of it's well used, some of it's new used. So we ended up with 3 treadmills and 2 exercise bicycles, so, this is one of those.
Are you? Good.
Where are they housed at?
Well, we're still have a place for 1 treadmill and 1 bicycle right now, in the men's locker room, so we won't use those every night, but we'll make sure it's clear to come in. So they're kind of getting used at this point, but again, the facilities that we're putting right now are not. It's not happening for everybody to use.
I move we accept the donation from Gold Setters Incorporated of 3 treadmills and 2 exercise bikes for sheriff's office.
Second. Okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. 4-0. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Number 9, surplus property auction. To consider an act upon approving the attached list of surplus property items that are no longer useful to be sold at auction. Matt.
Matt Johnson, worked to get this auction ready, and he's here. I believe he is. If you have any questions.
Matt, the only question I have is right before, or maybe it's after the auction, we send an email list to the listserv to just say what nonprofits out there could use it before we just completely rotate it out. That's still part of the policy.
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the list of surplus property items that are no longer usable to be sold at auction as presented to the court.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. 4-0. Thank you. Number 11, Attorney General records to consider and act upon the second amendment to the unit to county contract between the Office of the Attorney General and Potter County for access to Attorney General records. This amendment is to increase the maximum liability of the OAG. Caroline.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This contract has been in effect since I've been here. I don't know when they say initially effective 2013. They used to give it, well, they still do $360 to be able to access our family cases. And I bill them every year, and then when I bill them this year, they call back and say, oh, well, you know what, we increased this to $1,080 4 years ago. Because we didn't get the contract to you, and I said, oh, great. Well, so anyway, they'll go back and redo this and catch us up to 70. Now, it'll be about the next $.
Scott, any concerns with the agreement?
Move we accept the amended agreement with the Attorney General in regards to records and payment to the county.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. Number 12, appointments, Tiers 1 and LGC to consider an act upon the appointment of a new member to the Tiers 1 board, as well as new member to the LGC. Tiers 1 board, is now a minus, member because of Nick moving away. I have talked to Tad. I would like to, appoint Tad Fowler. He lives in the zone, lives downtown in the Tiers 1 zone, and that's what, I would like to do.
That's who you're nominating.
That's who I'm running.
Okay. I said I would bring one other name because someone approached me and asked to be considered, and that's Judge Pam Sermon.
So we have 2 names. Do we want to consider it, come bring it back?
I would, I think, and I think both of these people are great people, and I certainly don't want anyone to feel like that I have some sort of preference one or the other, except that, there's no requirement that someone live in the tiers zone. But, because TAD does, I think that gives him an advantage, and I certainly would support TAD's nomination.
All right. You make a motion?
Well, if we can dialogue for just a little bit, Judge, I think, Judge Sherman would certainly, I'm excited, pleasantly surprised and excited, because I know her workload and how involved she is, that she would put her name in the hat. I think she brings a good perspective and a different perspective to the table. I would echo your comments, Commissioner Church, both good candidates, so, I like when you can't make a bad decision, which that happens all the time. But the only part that gives me pause about TAD is actually, the counter to the fact that he does live in the zone. So there's a personal interest, potentially, and that may be a strong way to say, I don't know, I mean, you're affected, right, by directly, because you're in the zone, and then maybe those aren't the right words, I'm just brainstorming a little bit out loud. And then since he is our legal representative as the commissioner's court, I don't know if that enters in a different purview. I mean, I just know tiers are, there's different, LGC is different, which I know we're gonna get to here in just a minute as well. We don't do a lot of these, so.
But you're in the tiers two, you're on the tiers two board, right? And that is your area.
Yeah, but I don't live in the zone. I'm just speaking that you said he lived exactly in the zone, correct? And I don't know where he lives, I'm just dialoguing. But more than that, I think, is there, since him serving as a legal representative to the court, like the governing body, does that introduce a variable?
You think he may have more opportunities to recruit himself because he lives in the zone rather than not being a
Maybe, I don't know, I'm just talking out loud.
The only prospect I see of him confronting a potential recusal is if the tiers board takes up an issue that might place him in adversity with Potter County. Kind of hard to foresee how that might happen, but it is not outside the realm of possibility. If that was the case, I would expect he would recuse, and Tad is certainly smart enough and a good enough lawyer. He would know that opportunity had presented itself.
So the fact that he is also our legal representative in court, would that have any bearing that you have any English?
No different than a commissioner serving on
Mm-hmm.
tiers.
I'm thinking a little bit about the protocol, right? So tiers one makes a decision or wants to decide something. They, via the process, they're supposed to come vet the candidate or the decision with us and go to the city council and et cetera. And I'm thinking about a potential circumstance, let's say the court as a whole doesn't agree with that, right? We don't think that's a good idea due to X, Y, Z, but Tad as an individual does, right? And so his vote is as an individual, as a community member. That's just what I'm dialoguing a little bit about.
There is always the potential, when you're talking about somebody who's engaged in active government service, there is always the potential for conflict of interest. It is quite possible that some entity being served by the Tiers 1 board or the Tiers 1 board itself might wind up in litigation. Given the jurisdictional limits, they could wind up in litigation in County Court at Law Number 2 as well. So, so I mean, you have to weigh how likely the potential is and what the reality of the potential is. I believe, knowing Tad as I do, if there is a hint of impropriety in any decision he would be called to make in his role on the board, I believe he would recuse. Or abstain.
As would Judge Sherman too.
As would Judge Sherman. Certainly if litigation was a possibility, I think she would probably either recuse or abstain. Probably abstain is the better term. They're not taking themselves off the board, they're simply not voting on a particular item.
And I think on the litigation, we might check the bylaws. Certainly on the LGC, one of them references that litigation happens in Randall County. It doesn't even happen in Potter County. I remember, because that caught my attention, thought, well, that's different. we're in Potter County property. One of them does
Well-
reference litigation not happening here, which caught my attention when I read the bylaw.
Tiers would be able to litigate, that neither of the tiers for Potter County would be able to litigate outside Potter County because it doesn't have any jurisdiction that reaches outside the county. And the county is the ultimate originating body,
Right,
and the law is that a county has to be sued in that county.
right.
We have
We
had,
don't have to do this today.
we've had a couple of instances where members on tiers 1 have abstained from the discussion and the vote. One particular was a banker whose bank was financing the project. The other was one of the lawyers that, no, his partner or somebody was involved with one of the projects. But it's happened, it's not something unusual.
Yeah. In a community that's, this size, you're probably not gonna avoid that.
So either way, Judge, I just,
I am too, so we don't wanna do it today, we wanna
So,
go back.
one more question, just to clarify, Commissioner, you mentioned the uniqueness of Judge Sermon. There's persona or positions that may be of use, as a member of the board. What are you speaking of in respect to that?
well, I mean, we interact with her quite a bit for Government Day, and so I think I've had the perspective of knowing her a little more personally and learning her story. So I think as all of us, as we sit on boards and representatives, I mean, we're bringing all of that with us. So I think, she appears and has gone through quite a bit in our community and has been very involved, so I think she brings a different perspective. But they're both good candidates, and Commissioner Church, you sit on it now, I'd support what you decide, we all decide, I just am talking out loud about our candidates.
Well, here again, it's not a requirement or anything, but, she does not live in the city. So, I don't know if that makes any difference if you don't pay city taxes versus those who do.
Does that make a difference, Scott?
No, it's-
Not legally.
Shouldn't, okay.
No, I mean, there's no requirement that you have to be,
Right.
But she doesn't,
yeah, she doesn't, yes.
so the issue of fairness is, it seems like we're very close. That balance there, we may want to wait till,
No.
make that decision.
HR's here.
I may be all wrong, she may live right in on the county line, or the city line.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
Yeah, that last statement probably was, sorry, I apologize.
Okay, we want to pass, we want to pass it?
Move we appoint, Tad Fowler as the representative, third representative for Potter County on tiers 1.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, appoint Tad, all in favor, raise your right hand. 4-0. Okay. All right, on the LGC, I have talked to Mercy about this, and I will withdraw that. So, we'll just leave you on there for a while. You wanted to be, you want to stay for a while? You've been there 3 years,
3
right?
years, almost to the day.
You got one more year, and then that goes, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Make some.
Yeah, I just think we need to spread it around. a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah, and I have an agenda item here shortly, but, I'll provide all that in the agenda item, just for the sake of time, Judge.
Okay, number 13, Valley the Oral, this is just an update on the speed issue out there. I did talk to Randy Hochstein from TxDOT, and he in turn talked to Mike Fowler from TxDOT, and they showed me the procedure that they go about, setting a speed limit. It's very interesting. Some of you probably know this. I never did know this. It's the 85 percentile thing, and, they literally put a speed thing out and they count the cars, and the 85th car is whatever speed it's going, that's what they set the speed limit at. This has third grade stuff here, I'm not kidding. Now, it's variable within 5, and they can up at 5 or lower at 5, but that's what they do. And I said, I thought he was kidding me. I said, he said, no, really, that's what we do. And I said, I'm glad that grandma wasn't going down I-40 at 40 miles an hour when she was in the car. We'd all be road rage supreme. Anyway, so he's gonna get back to me, and then I did talk to, Tony, Guerrero, from the guy that was here in court last time, and told him what's going on, and he was, and if they do it in order that they get the request, so it's gonna be a few months before they go out there and do anything. Anyway, they did get back to me. So.
When did they do the last study, Judge? Did he say?
He didn't say. It's 70 miles an hour out there right now. It's a little high. I mean, of course, they take into account curves and hills.
70 out there, you're gonna,
You're gonna get run off. Okay.
What do people really drive?
75.
Whatever they can get away with. So, anyways, that's just an update on that. Number 14, 2016-2017 annual report to present the final annual report, county annual report for the new year.
This will be quick. You have a copy of this in your packet. There are some new annual reports towards the back, and Caroline, I have that stacked there for you, Julie and Sherry. So we put those in all points of direct public contact where there's a lot of foot traffic. So this is the second one. I just wanted to say thank you to the judge and to Carrie because they participated in a phone interview and this got quite a bit of state attention too. So kudos to get everybody at the county because I know these meetings were interesting to get this off the ground. An interesting and exciting shift that I think Judge Shanner and I have heard is other departments now saying, how do I get in this? What do I need to do? And you guys that started it with us, you know, it was, why are we meeting? What is this about again? So that's an exciting thing to see that culture shift. This particular type of update was fairly easy to make year 2. That was our plan. Year 1 that we in IT would own the technology, the infrastructure, we could just go update with the numbers. Next year will be a little more work because obviously the sheriff's admin space won't be there. So the inside lens has a visual that will look a little different next year. But our plan is to keep on keeping on, and Carrie works with us. So thank you, Carrie, for making sure we do this. But
this is good. Thank you so much. Number 15, neighborhood planning, to provide an update on the city and county neighborhood planning process.
Quick update, we met May 18th with AJ Fowler. She's the director of planning, and no surprise, at that point in time, she is still briefing the new council. And who we were waiting for who the representative would be. This committee was comprised of Judge Tanner and I know Commissioner Vaughn joined, and Judge Tanner could not, and one city council member. It was Councilman Demerson that joined, and it was an interesting, obviously, turn of events with the election. What we have always said on this committee was that the infrastructure and the process, standard operating procedures would be built as such that it didn't matter who was sitting in that elected seat, that this should still continue. And so that was really the theme of how this started. So that will be exciting, and I'm encouraged to see how it will evolve. But I know our new mayor was asking for some details recently, so I think that was encouraging. Quick update on the North Heights. There are 260 activities that were already completed. And a range of those activities were from code enforcement to signage to new projects, alley repairs, street repairs. And one of the questions I get asked a lot in the community is, well, how is this different? These are things our city should be doing for us anyway. How is this different? What does this do? She communicated to me that when someone calls into the city and says, I have a pothole or I have this going on, there's a call center and a priority list, the way that this happens. Because this is the first neighborhood project, it hits a higher priority list. And so she calls it kind of all boots on the ground, everybody on deck to make sure that that gets reprioritized. So citations on weeds, on fences. They did a survey of 366 lights. Just in the North Heights area alone, 40 have been repaired. They're looking at rezoning and some housing projects. And a big thing that's on the cities to do that was really kind of obvious after the study is the lack of sidewalks in that area. That is probably the biggest thing that came off of that plan. You could just physically see it on the page. So the city is doing some infrastructure changes. What she explained to me, and I thought this would be helpful for everyone to know as well, is the department heads at the city have either weekly or bi-weekly meetings, and these are one of the things that they talk about is, what's the update on this, what's the update on this? There are several action items, I would almost say anywhere from 40 to 50 action items that they're following up on when they meet. I wanted to communicate that they're working on a grant for about $500,000 potentially, and that some of that money, some matching money would come potentially from the bond that did pass. What I thought it was interesting about this grant on the matching money, they may use some of our dollars to match that. And I thought that would be a longer strategic initiative instead of our dollars being used for fruit and drinks and, you know, all that's important and it needs to happen when you're pulling in the community, but for us to use our matching dollars in a more strategic infrastructure way, even though we didn't put that limitation in the contract, I think that was our intent. So I was excited to see that. The Barrio, which is the next location, kicked off June the 1st. So there was a meeting, and these are community members that meet. I think there were 20 invited, and asking for confirmation that every one of those can attend the meeting. They have a meeting schedule, learned a lot from the North Heights. The third one slated is San Jacinto, fourth one is Eastridge, and then now the new council and us will vet through what are the next four, right, to just keep this going. Any questions from the board? For the audience?
Well, it's the same, my same concern is what are the local people doing? Are they gonna jump in and do some improvements themselves, or is this just up to the taxpayers and the city to do it all?
I actually have an acquaintance of mine that has come to me. She bought 35 properties out here in North Heights. She's gonna redo all of them and sell them or rent them out to low-income families. And it's she may have purchased more than 35, but she bought a lot of property and she's gonna redo them. So that's just on with her money. She's not using anybody's money to do that. She's just doing it to make it better for herself. So
She's one person,
she's one person.
there's lots of
It starts with
individuals.
one person.
There are more, there are more engaged.
There are more, yeah.
I'm very appreciative of seeing that, and I think that's something that, off the school and, coming one day, I'm really excited to see how the council is going to engage with the,
So is Ms. Hayes gonna be the one on this?
I have not met the official designee, it may already be done. I just have asked AJ to move back and we once that's confirmed. I don't know if that is yet. That's my opinion.
Okay, number 16 on the government.
So we met last Wednesday, a very lengthy meeting, I will say. And you'll continue to see this every time we meet. I'll continue to put an agenda item. We did have a fairly long executive session, but what I can share in terms of the full core is the parking garage is obviously done, almost done. Toward the end, they did have the soft light for graduation, so people could park in there at no cost. But their target is July 1st for potentially that first paid event, which is the downtown fireworks. I know I'm not calling it light games. Yes. So the big event, July 1st, that will be open. We still have a closed loop with the city about signage and what that needs to look like. And so Judge and Mike, I'm waiting for confirmation on Jerry Danforth's calendar of when we can meet with him to just do a final walkthrough, like a 30-minute meeting, should be fairly quick. The TxDOT Streetscape project is complete. You'll have noticed that outside. You probably drove over or walked over and saw that. There is potentially a ribbon cutting that may happen around the 26th, June 26th-ish. We don't have a confirmed date or time, but as soon as I have that, I will make sure everybody has that for their calendars. And they're trying to coordinate even with the hotel, is at a point where we could do a walkthrough. If you remember, we did a mock interview that I thought, or a mock walkthrough that was interesting to see what the hotels would actually look like, but that's getting ready to be completed. The construction, the Convention Center Hotel, the construction is on schedule. You'll notice quite a bit of signs around the retail space of the parking garage. So Bob Garrett was who was selected to do that. What's interesting to me, and you may find interesting, Bob Garrett is also doing the leasing of the Excel property that is right across the street. And I think they already have a sign out there for Jimmy John. So one of the questions I asked as the LGC is, how do we make sure with one person, we're not competing within each other. Who decides what goes to Excel and who decides what goes to LGC? Because obviously there's a vested interest to build out those up, right, to finish that out. So that's fairly new, that just happened. I would say the last, maybe LGC, they made that contractual change. So that is in motion, and then what they shared about the multi-purpose events venue, the MPEV, is about 60 to 80% complete with design. They're relocating some storm sewer lines. And then we took action on a signage company, which was Wellburn Sign, is who ended up getting that. That was an interesting process, I will tell this court. I don't know that I've ever seen anything kind of happen like that. The LGC at the last meeting was prepped to make the decision. They went through the RFP, presented it, were ready to vote. And, we're not voting members, they were ready to vote, and someone in the public representing Wellburn stood up and said, we didn't know about the RFP, we did all the other ones downtown, take it back out for another bid. So I had a lot of bid questions of, can you do that? I mean, you're already this far in the process, but it went back. It was a little unprecedented, but it went back, and they awarded to Wellburn that has done most of the downtown lighting. They showed renderings of it and asked for our input. To me, personally, it looked to me like the Amarillo National Bank sign is what it looked like to me. It had the same blue, so that was my reaction to it, but I'm sure it looked nice.
One question, correct me if I'm wrong, you mentioned 60% plus complete?
60 to 80% is the number they gave at the meeting.
So what does that mean? What are we looking at as far as the MPEV in respect to the annual, like, that you actually want to see? Have they decided on actually if there's going to be a ball there and moving forward?
Yeah, there has not been any public decision. I know part of the new council, certainly, I would imagine, are being briefed as they were. We had 2 new council members on the LGC, and this is what I shared with Judge Tanner. The LGC is interesting. I mean, I have been on there 3 years, and it took 1.5 years to even figure out legally who does what. I mean, I'm not kidding with this court. I really had to draw out a piece of paper and draw arrows because it is very complicated, but the new city council has not taken action. I know if I had to put it in a bucket, they would be in their briefing bucket at this point. They're getting information week by week. So to answer your question, no, not at this point. What Bob Cal, who is leading as an assistant city deputy, he is leading the design, so at least that work is done, should the council choose to move forward.
So if you're 60 to 80% as far as complete, it seems to me that you should have an idea on what actually is going to go in the infrastructure that you're designing. If not, then we're probably gonna have to do a 180 in the middle of the street.
I would agree, and I would say that's in the city council's house to decide, and I wouldn't disagree with that at all. The other thing, Judge, that I wanted to inform this court, because now that we are getting closer to the end of those parking garage and hotels, I've been asking questions since the very beginning about how this is gonna be taxed, because the city owns it, right? So think about a house, right? The city has the note, they own the infrastructure, they are a tax exempt entity, but they are leasing out the parking spots. Our 150 were government to government, but they are leasing 150 out to the hotel, which is a for-profit company. They are leasing out, the rest of the spots are paid parking, and they took out taxable notes so that they were not limited with how they could do that. So I have an opinion that I think more of that should be taxable, and that matters to us, because at the end of the tiers, I mean, in 2036, when this expires, this is when the county should get all this windfall of participating. So I've asked for it to be brought back to confirm with Prad. This is a little unprecedented, it's just certainly not for the country. I'm sure someone else has done this, but definitely for the city. So I continue to ask for information. As soon as I have more, I will bring that back to this court, because I'm sure you're all very interested in that as well. Okay, thank you, Judge.
Judge Tanner?
Yes.
Commissioner, I have a question.
Yes.
When are we gonna meet again on the parking garage as far as going through and getting all our spaces identified? I mean, that's probably gonna happen here real quick.
Yeah, I think, we probably need to meet with Jerry to confirm what that plan is, and that's why I was pushing him. We were trying to get a meeting this past Friday, but I didn't hear back from him until Friday morning, and it was, let's meet in a couple hours. I couldn't do that to you guys, so, we'll get a time this week. Yeah.
Okay, number 17, employment items. I'm gonna read them all and we'll vote on all at the same time, okay? Is that all right? Okay. Information technology, the resignation of Lana Bracken as application development effective May 17, 2017. Collections, the resignation of Branson Magley as collections department effective May 30th, 2017. Hiring of Jennifer Polk as collections deputy as a replacement for Francis Magley, effective May 31st. In Road and Bridge Department, the hiring of Lawrence Don Hauk as seasonal road crew effective May 1. Resignation of Brenton Powell as maintenance tech effective May 31st. The hiring of David Trevino as maintenance tech as a replacement for Brenton Powell effective June 12th. The resignation of Mark Schumann as maintenance tech effective June 6th. And the hiring of Colby Schaefer as summer mower effective May 30, 2017. In facilities maintenance, the hiring of Nicholas Connor Wade as Assistant Director of Facilities as a replacement for Nicholas Lee Ward, effective June 1. The resignation of Nicholas Wade Leathers as Assistant Groundskeeper, effective June 2nd, 2017. In the AgriLife Extension Office, the resignation of Austin Boyles as County Extension Agent, effective June 9, 2017. And in elections, the change in status of Monica Amador from part-time to full-time from June the 12th through July 21st. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the employment items as presented.
Second, for just a quick discussion, if I can, Judge, and I think I'll be ready to vote. For Lana's departure, I immediately worry about county clerk and district clerk and your new Tyler technology. I'm assuming there's a plan and you guys feel okay.
We had a meeting, the judge, Caroline and I had a meeting, and with Brandon too, and we talked about that, and actually Chelsea knows a lot about
Yeah.
a lot of things, so
So you feel good, you feel okay?
I do.
Okay. And then, Judge, as it relates to Lana's position, since we are absent an IT director, who is hiring for that position? Who is interviewing those candidates? Right, as an interim, is that falling into the interim role? Okay, all right, I just want to confirm. Okay, thank you.
By the way, Nicholas, would you please stand up there in the back seat? I'm sure you bet. This is the new Nick.
That's
Welcome to Potter County.
That's a lot of weight.
A lot of ways, a lot of Nicholas, and apparently a prerequisite to work there.
I'm holding my breath until you all vote, 'cause it's not really official yet.
That's right.
Okay, well, take a breath. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. 4-0. Okay, you can exhale.
Yeah.
Did you have any?
Judge, one thing I was gonna tell the court, Commissioner Church, I did get back on the extension agent position. We're not gonna get anyone until September the earliest, which I think you had said, but I asked for confirmation from Brandon Dukes. So I reached out to the other agent and said, how does that affect workload? And you know this better than any of us on this court. They said they feel like they've got it covered, but should we be worried? Do we need another plan?
There's nothing else you can do. I mean, we can do.
The hiring freeze, the hiring freeze.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, Mike, do you have any projects?
Regarding the, district courts, we did actually get that parking lot strung this weekend, so we'll change for that one. The, courthouse, flood project, Commissioner McGee, did get your text message late the other day, but what we like on this project right here, county clerk, this is Blackman Warren's responsibility. They will come in and replace the actual floor plugs within the north and south end and the sewer buffers. Judge Herman, we have one acoustical panel that the painter just picked up this morning. They went to get it steam cleaned, to repair it, to get it rehung. They do have one bench I'll be looking at after this. It's one of the historic benches. I gotta run by Palmer Painting to determine what to do. Judge Sermon has one acoustical panel that needs to be restrained, it's kind of crooked. And then we have a hallway bench that got damaged during the cleanup process, so I'm trying to find somebody responsible. I talked to the previous person in Nicholas's position, we understood there's only 4 items pending, found 4 pages when we went through this project, so we're nearly to the end of it to get it completed. The courthouse millwork warranty, this right here has kind of become a sore issue with some judges. I just want to make y'all aware. Tad and I, we did get the cost from the local contractor, presented it to the county attorney's office. It was hoped to come to court, but Tad said fine. The projected cost I've given y'all during that, in excess of 40,000, we're right there at that, what we projected about 6-7 years ago to do this work. So we'll be bringing that back to the commissioner's court at the next meeting and seeking y'all's direction on how y'all choose to move forward. Santa Fe projects, we've had several that y'all approved this year during our actual budget. The fire alarm has been installed or upgrade there. We still like fine tuning some issues over there within that building. Your terracotta project, we performed late last fall into the winter time. We've got one warranty claim. I'm working with them to get it corrected currently as we speak. Elevator project, we are finished. We just like installing one piece of equipment whenever it comes in from the factory that I rejected during the project. We can still use it. 11th floor auditorium lighting project is the one that y'all approved. Currently right now, they have commissioning on that system this coming week and go through, hopefully we'll be through with it. We're building automation, another project that you approved. We're currently in the design on building the graphics for it. So hopefully we'll have those finished before the end of this budget year. Upcoming projects, I need to go ahead and make you aware of this. This is something I feel we need to go ahead and move forward that was not posted. The 11th floor up there, that VC tile that you see up there just keeps coming up. What I'm gonna do is work with a local contractor here, Matt, job order contract. I've got a meeting with them here in a few minutes. I'm gonna go through and put in a rubber tile flooring for your ADA ramps and clean all that up there to where we don't have this ramps. Another project.
Thank you.
Another project that we need to do, Carrie, I've got the contractors, they're turning in the calls for that 12th floor repair. The terracotta problems we had created leaks into the building, so we're now having to refinish part of the 12th floor and down into the 11th floor. So we got those problems corrected, so we can fix it. The law enforcement center projects, your storage building, we're looking for completion on it this Saturday, June 17th. We've already put a punch list on the project. Once the Western Builders gets their certificate of occupancy, we'll issue notice that it has been completed. We spoke to Steve Lapp a while ago, and I did. We need to get that building from insurance. Pretty quick. The vehicle maintenance garage is still slated for around November 27th, and your law enforcement center is on January 16th.
Number 19, the jail report, we have 525 people in our jail, 85 of those are female, and those are jailbirds, with 81% of those are felons and 12% are misdemeanors. Do you have any insurance items now?
Yes, there were two small claims at Broken Ridge, this last week, May 31st and June 1st. And if, Sebastian wants to speak to that.
Please.
He just rolled his eyes over here.
Good morning. Excuse me, I just came off vacation, so I kind of forgot what they were, but I think there was a window.
Rock chips.
Rock chips, there was a window, there was two windows, as a matter of fact. What happened was the mower was, he was mowing and he raised up they're supposed to raise it up and stop it, but he raised it up and it threw a rock, so it hit the window. And it just so happened that, Rex was, sitting right beside him when it happened. He saw that one. And the other one,
I believe they were both,
yeah, both rock chips. I can't remember the other one.
On vehicles or?
Yes, on two vehicles, two separate vehicles.
Okay.
It's a common, it
It
happens
is,
all,
happens
every
all
summer.
around, yeah. Anything else?
Just one quick thing, your PRPC radio project that they've been working on, they completed that last week.
Mike, do you know anything about what the Court of Appeals is planning on doing now? Do you want us to speak to that issue? It's nothing big, it's just.
No, I visited with Judge Quinn and again, we basically took that project that was presented to y'all and downsized it. We're looking to see what we can do as far as our department, working with some local job board contractors to bring people in. Basically, what they're looking to do is replace the flooring within the kitchen area and adjacent areas, and remove some built-in credenzas up there. And the aluminum storefronts, like I put in Vivian's office here about a year ago, is just constructing some of them up there for security. So it's very minor.
And it's all in their budget. All right, thank you. Okay, we don't have executive session agenda items for next time.
Judge, I don't know if this is an agenda item or even just a follow-up throughout the week for the connection out of the extension office, the internet connectivity. And so I think when, they were here and gave their update, they mentioned how slow, I mean, it's sometimes 20 minutes to open one email. So it's pretty bad. I just wanted to make sure if we had a game plan, we need to just chat throughout the week.
Have they talked to you about that, Brandon?
Yeah, we've been talking about the forklift on that.
Okay,
We'll see if we can remedy that.
Okay, thank you.
We actually put in all the conduit
Yes.
from the tower to the building, so all of that infrastructure is already there.
Thank you.
okay. Anything else? If not, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Yes.
About the budget meetings.
Oh, yeah. Budget time. Carrie, have you gotten everyone's budget?
A couple more days, they already got a little bit of things like that now.
We start, when do they'll start? The individual hearings with me. You brought it up, girl.
I know, now I can't remember, but I just know we only have one person scheduled,
We
so.
only have one person, that sounds great.
That'd be next
Everyone else is
Monday when
really,
they
really
start.
happy. Yeah, you're next Monday.
Okay, yeah, you win the prize, because you're the one and only.
And the budget meetings are,
Okay.
are set for,
Yeah, the original dates that were presented, they are, July 24th,
I think the 24th is the court date.
for the court, and then
Budget on the 24th.
26th. So court that Monday, the 24th, and then the budget days, 25th and 26th.
And I do plan to have copies of all the requests to commissioners, yeah, I believe in July, that
Okay.
court meeting prior to the budget discussions.
Anything else?
very good.
We are adjourned.